Thank you very much for joining us during the social finance vibe for this panel, and we're going to talk about the topic that is really relevant in today's world, which is the entrepreneurship. And we're going to have a thought-provoking discussion about what it actually means to be an entrepreneur and how it is. Is there any difference between being a local entrepreneur or entrepreneur who is a newcomer to a country trying to find their way in the complex world of entrepreneurship, and also trying to find their way in the complex world of being a new person in the country? I have an excellent panel, so I'm very happy to introduce you the panelists. So we have Michał Radziwiłł, who is a manager of Impulse. He has 28 years of experience in various areas of finance and audit. He's bilingual in Polish and French, fluent in English, Russian, and German. He has worked from audits firms Deloitte and Mazars, as well as international cooperation. So in 2000, Michał joined TISE, then the private equity arm of the bank, and since 2006, Michał actively contributed to creation of COP East, the development of its investment activities. Simultaneously with duties of chairman of the executive committee of COP East, he used this position of general manager and TISE until 2019. And then we have another Michał Dudziński, who is business development manager for Forward Inc., who is working with newcomers, entrepreneurs for over a year now. He's very passionate about the entrepreneurship and making an impact. Then we have Julia Bogusławska, who is a founder of and CEO of Ukrainka w Polsce. She's Ukrainian from Donbas, Polish from Wrocław. She has a master's degree in Polish law and international relations. She has also very vast experience working in the UN with the UN agencies, and UBAM in Odessa, as well as many other international projects. So since 2013, Julia is connected with business industry in Wrocław. In 2016, she started her own company in the field of marketing called Hello Brands. Since March 2022, she has been the founder of Ukrainka w Polsce, which is a foundation. The main goal of this organization is to help with integration of Ukrainian women in Poland. And last but not least, Khaled Saban, founder and CEO of Sample Impact Outsourcing and Hiring Social Enterprise. Khaled is social entrepreneur and business developer who specializes in ICT, founder of Roya Foundation and Turnsol Technologies. He excels in using tech for social good and empowering refugees through meaningful employment with Sample Impact Outsourcing. So it's my great pleasure to have you here today. And as we are talking about the topic that it's really bringing right now a lot of emotion. So how we can support entrepreneurship of refugees and migrants. And I would like to start, Julia, maybe with your experience as somebody who is an entrepreneur and started your entrepreneurial journey in the new country. If you could share with us your journey, so how it started, what was the highlights, and more maybe what were the dark sides, if there was any support that you received during that time. We're very curious to hear more about.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Katarzyna. Good day, everybody. I'm glad to be part of this session. And jumping into the topic, first of all, I want to say that it's worth to remember, no matter what country we are, by destiny, because of crises or because of family reasons, we should focus on ourselves and our purpose in life, to accumulate all the experiences, education, and interest in other people, and be constantly longing to integrate with each other, because people is a huge power who are always around us, and they are not only challenging us when we are migrants abroad, but they are also helping. That was also my case from the very beginning in Poland when I moved in 2014. Actually, I'm coming from Donetsk, Donbass. I didn't come to Poland because of war in Ukraine at that point of time, but rather by own choice, searching for better economic conditions and the development of my career. I started my adventure in Poland from the career in the corporate world a little bit, working for FMCG, big production company. And it also inspired me to try my own business. First, it was production of ceramic boards. I wanted to create a project which would help my parents to get out of the war zone in Ukraine. And I was inspired by also a reason to help others. But unfortunately, not all the business ideas can be successful. I think running service kind of business is always more safe. It was my case, because when we want to produce something, it requires additional financial efforts and investment. I'm still running one and another brand, but I focused on marketing services for the last 5 years, and accumulated all my experience from United Nations and international projects, and also business, private sector, to invite Polish partners to create something great. We are helping companies, small businesses and big businesses, to develop their corporate identity, and we are focusing on visual communication, design, and communication strategy. And I think what pushed me to expand the business way of thinking was also a family destiny. I was staying in Wrocław with 2 kids who also required a lot of attention and focusing on their education and development. I came up with such business solution because I wanted to have free time for my family and kids. As appeared, it's not always the case, because the private business requires more time in terms of dedication and devotion. But the big plus was that I was managing my time myself. So it was a big motivation for me to start and to experiment. I think every country is extremely challenging, especially if it's coming to the difference between EU tax legislation parts, which many migrants are not familiar. And I think it's a huge input to use and cooperate with local partners and organizations who are supporting these entrepreneurs. The life brought me also to the point when the war in Ukraine escalated in a huge mashup, and I had to find also additional solution how to guide others in their start of business in Poland. And I was very happy to join Microfinance Center in the framework of JP Morgan program, where we are now together supporting startup and entrepreneurs, mostly women who came because of war to Poland. And again, using our experience, we help them with previous failures and successes to accumulate, and invite also experts, of course, to guide them how to start business in Poland. But what I wanted to say from the very beginning until now is that it's extremely important to believe in yourself, look from the balcony, so to speak, to evaluate what experience do you have to be transferred in new country, and definitely have a courage to understand how things work. I think the curiosity is the basic of starting your entrepreneurship in any country abroad.
Thank you very much.
From the start.
Thank you very much, Ilya. It was really interesting to learn about how you started your journey in Poland. Khaled, and how did Sabo came into existence? Could you share your case?
Hi, thank you, Katarzyna, and thank you for all the panelists. I'm happy to be here with you. My journey started actually by the Syrian uprising in 2011. That time I came from IT background, and I'm from Damascus, Syria, by the way. Currently, I'm a refugee in the Netherlands. That time I wanted to help my people in the crisis that started that time, and I found that okay, I have IT skills, so I decided to utilize my skills to do something to help my people. So I started with telecommunication projects, telecommunication services, and IT services for humanitarian organization, for medical institution in that area. And frankly speaking, I didn't know that I'm an entrepreneur. Until this moment, I still misspell the word entrepreneur. Later on, then I learned what I'm doing, to be honest. In 2013, I became wanted by the regime because because I'm activist in this domain. So I had to flee the country. I had to walk for a week till I reached the Turkish borders. And in Turkey, I was clueless, to be honest. I didn't know the dynamic of the ecosystem. I didn't understand anything going on. Even I had the first meeting with the donors that time, and they kept saying Syrian NGOs, Syrian NGOs. I thought, is this like some kind of food I didn't know about? I didn't even know what NGO means at the time. It's the same. But yeah, this is like the first challenge that I faced. Okay, I lost all my social capital. I didn't know this new dynamic. And then I realized, okay, then I'm not the only one who's facing these problems. A lot of people are facing the same problem. So I shifted from investing in infrastructure and this kind of solutions toward investing in people. So I fundraised for programs where we do vocational training, IT capacity building for youth in Syria, and to invest in refugees in Turkey, so we can empower them to be self-sufficient and financially resilient. However, when we started to connect those people with job opportunities in Turkey, we struggled because businesses, they didn't feel comfortable to deal with the individuals with this area because of the sanctions and the conflict, and also language and culture barriers, also because of the financial transactions. So we thought it's necessary to have a body that represents refugees, skilled refugees from these regions. So this is why we came up with Sybil. Sybil Impact Outsourcing basically is a social enterprise that utilize the skills of talented refugees to provide outsourcing services in the tech industry. This is basically what we do. So we started the first pilot in 2018, where we put together 20 trainees who are able to do IT skills and IT services, and we start to communicate these services, where we get the first free pilot and the second free pilot, and then we get the first paid pilot. Now, Sybil has 500 refugees who are working for international businesses in the field of AI and software development services. We have clients from US, from Europe, from Australia, where they just send us projects, and those projects are implemented by refugees in Turkey and Middle East. So what we did is we implemented an ecosystem where it's easy for refugees to access jobs and easy for businesses who want to make an impact to access those communities. However, as a social entrepreneur, the first problem, as I mentioned, that I faced, that the social capital. I came to a new country. I have zero social capital in that region, and also I came with a lot of insecurities, because back in my country, whenever I have problem, I have a family or I have friends who I can ask to support me. Here I have insecurity that I didn't want to take more risks. This is something that I faced. The other things also, regarding the technical difficulties, I faced a lot of banking issues. As a Syrian, it takes me 3 or 4 months longer than a local person to open bank account. Even I had to always to have 3 or 4 bank accounts, because I know always they're gonna close my bank accounts just because of my nationalities, frankly speaking. they had this issue a lot. And here in the Netherlands, I stayed for 18 months in a refugee camp, where it's really affect your mentality, where you see a lot of people, they are not allowed to work, and you feel you build a new culture that you are basically useless in the refugee camp. You are not allowed to work, you are not allowed to do anything. You just sit and waiting for the envelope, where this envelope will decide your future in this country. So this kind of it's changed your mindset, it's changed your mentality towards your dreams and towards what you're working on. Frankly speaking, it was a tough journey, but now we are established now in the Netherlands, and we are expanding, thankfully, and thanks actually to the support from organizations such as Forward Inc. and other social entrepreneur here in the Netherlands, where they support the journey of Sabah.
Thank you very much, Julia. I know that you want to react right now, but if I can ask you to hold your question, and we go to Michał's. We are lucky to to simplify with the name, which is a beautiful Polish name, and I will ask Michał Radziwiłł right now, because you are from the funding side, right? And from what you heard from Julia and Khaled, does capital discriminate? Do you, like, if you look at providing the funding, would you look at the difference in providing funding for the entrepreneur who has a refugee or migrant background, or to the local entrepreneur? Or you would just look at the project itself, if it's a good project? Or so I would be very interesting to hear.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be in this panel as well as everybody, probably. Just maybe one more sentence about me and the institution I represent, because Katarzyna presented me very nicely until 2019. So since 2019, I'm working with Impulse Investment Managers, which is a Belgian fund manager specializing in impact funds. So we are very interested in the issue of financing migrants, and I think that this is and I'm based in Poland, by the way, so it's which is not neutral, especially with the situation we have now. So we are very interested in all the types of issues that people from vulnerable groups can have in accessing finance. We don't have a fund specializing in financing migrants or refugees. And my first reaction, actually, when we started talking about this panel, was to say, okay, is there a difference? I mean, a migrant entrepreneur in a different country, is there a difference to find finance being just a micro entrepreneur? We all know, I mean, Microfinance Center is the perfect place to know it. Micro entrepreneurs do have a difficult time to access finance. So is there a difference between, I would say, established local micro entrepreneurs and micro entrepreneurs coming from different countries? This was my first question. And also, I think that the other thing is that in Poland now we have more than 1 million probably Ukrainian refugees who came after the full-scale war started in Ukraine. And they are mostly women, like maybe 90%. I mean, Julia is working with them, and they are they are women with children. And is the entrepreneurship an answer? Actually, this was my second doubt: is the entrepreneurship an answer? Because these people need housing, education, access to health services. I mean, these are the main work. So do they have the time and let's say the mindset to establish enterprises, micro business, let's say, and so when I started, I would say, preparing for this panel, I learned that since February 2022 in Poland there are more than 20,000 enterprises, sole entrepreneurs or small companies that were established by Ukrainian citizens. So this is even if compared to the global number of refugees, maybe it's not a very, very big proportion. It is still a big number. And so wondering how how and actually they have a problem in getting to the financial system. We all know that the banks now are very, I would say, prudent concerning the KYC and the AML and whatever compliance, etc., etc. What Khaled has mentioned recently now, he had a few bank accounts because one of them could be very easily closed because of his nationality, and so we encounter this in Poland as well. And so I think that it is a big issue, and access to finance for migrants is a specific issue. I had also this morning, I had a meeting with the Polish Development Bank on another topic, and I told them that I would be participating here in this panel, and I just wanted to see what their reaction was, and they said, no, the Ukrainian entrepreneurs, they have exactly the same chances as the Polish entrepreneur in Poland. The big issue is Belarusian because of the KYC, etc., which is exactly the issue that you mentioned, Khaled. So it is more a question of education, information, helping them to be to somehow to be able to talk to the managers of the financial institutions. So I think that this is exactly what Julia's organization is doing. But maybe to finish my speech now so I would say that this answer from this Polish Development Bank manager was quite optimistic, because it seems that from a formal point of view, there shouldn't be big issues for Ukrainian entrepreneurs. And so it is on the side of the information, but also I think that a financial instrument specifically targeting this group of entrepreneurs would be definitely helpful, because they would become somehow the norm and not the exception of the norm. So they would be the typical client of this institution. And I think that there is something to be done on this, and I think that I will, after the panel, definitely will be very happy to work on this topic, and hopefully maybe we'll come up with a nice solution for at least a part of these entrepreneurs.
Thank you very much, Michał, also for the public commitment that is right now recorded, that you are willing to continue to work on that. Michał, with forwarding, I believe that you believe that entrepreneurship is the answer for the refugees and migrants starting the new work, like starting the new life. Could you please maybe share how you, as you are supporting the transition, how you actually making it a little bit better to understand the labyrinths of a new country's regulation and processes?
Yes, of course. Thanks, Kasia. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming to the session. So maybe I'll start a little bit of an introduction of forwarding as an organization, because I know we can be a quite confusing organization. Are we a VC? Are we an incubator? What is going on? And then I'll also touch upon the question, Kasia, from you. But so we are forwarding, and we are an Amsterdam-based organization that is devoted to empowering newcomer entrepreneurs. So we have a very broad term, newcomer, not only from refugee background, but just outside of OECD area. And we empower them to launch, grow, and fund their businesses. But we are a non-profit organization, so we take no equity in the startups that we work with, and our programs are free for everybody who falls into our target group, and we support the founders, support the early ventures through business development, entrepreneurship training, mentorship, but also providing some access to finance, which I guess will be our discussion today. Just to give maybe a little bit of an overview, up to this day, we help 150 startups to be launched, trained over 1,200 newcomers, and helped over 600 people achieve economic independence. And I think most of our work, especially when it comes to access to funding, comes from network building and attracting social capital with our community. So we have mentors, we have student consultants that are volunteers that we work with that are happy to help the founders. And that added up in 2022, to over 21,000 voluntary hours. So we are very grateful to our partners, of course, which then translated to our startups having raised over 4.1 million in funding. Yes, and about why is it important, or why forwarding should exist, if I can make an argument like that. So of course, Khaled and Julia, thanks a lot for talking about your experiences. And this is like unbelievable journeys that you had to gone through. And we see that as well, of course, in the Netherlands, that most newcomers face barriers to the labor market, whether it is weird national laws, like in the Netherlands. Khaled mentioned that a lot of refugees are not able to work, and those who are lucky to have this permit, they often can only work 24 weeks in a year. But also, people, highly educated people coming from the Middle East area or Ukraine, having their certification not realized by the EU institutions. So, for example, becoming a doctor, having your diploma not being realized. All these hardships lead to underemployment. And of course, there is some governmental institutions that focused on helping refugees finding new source of income, but they're often overwhelmed. And they also often focus on also something you, Michał, you mentioned, finding housing or, just survival rather than preferences, passion, or building a career in a new place. So we believe, as Forwarding, that entrepreneurship is a way for newcomers to kind of craft their own job on their own level in their own desired industry. And we support refugees in developing adequate, business or entrepreneurial skills, providing resources, mentorship, as I mentioned. And we do this through different programs. So we have from very early ideation program, digital entrepreneurship program, which is mostly an entrepreneurship course, up until investment readiness programs, in which we were also super lucky to be working with such talented entrepreneurs like Khaled. Maybe just to give our audience also a little bit of a concrete example of what we do is the investor readiness program. Of course, the idea is to raise investment for the ventures we work with. So we have workshop with experienced individuals in private equity funding. We have investment pitch workshops. So we work a lot on the pitches and how to, adjust them based on the audience. We have mentorships with corporate partners and also to investor events. So this year, we had one with ABN AMRO, so institutional investor, and one with an angel investor network that is also has been made by friends of Forwarding, so professionals that are in our network. And that often leads to some early investments. But I think why is entrepreneurship for us the way to do this is, as I said, entrepreneurship is unique in the fact that you can decide on which directions you are taking. And as I think, Julia, you said that it's a struggle because there's so much to do, but at least you are the manager of your time. So for us, this is a way for everyone to kind of craft their own way of employment, but also why is it important to support people from more vulnerable groups, newcomers in general, as because in entrepreneurship, network is the one that matters so much. And maybe you guys should mention that is capital discriminatory. I don't think it has to be discriminatory, but in private equity, you look at the network, the social capital people have, co-founders, and the certifications of the founders. And if those things are simply not there, then it's much harder to access some finance.
Thank you very much, and that was very insightful. And before I open the questions from the audience, I know, Julia, you wanted to like intervene in something, and maybe it's a good moment because there was a lot of information shared that I will just let all of you to react to something that you heard from your co-panelists that you would really like to kind of amplify or disagree with, or show certain paradoxes maybe in what is the desire and practice. So Julia, please.
Thank you. No, I just wanted to refer to what Khaled said. I'm extremely impressed by his experience and at the same dramatic experience. I think the huge benefit which Ukrainian women received as refugees of Ukrainian war is that Poland encouraged us and gave us immediately all possible rights how to start the career. And most important thing, which I believe is in developing your entrepreneurship, is motivation and psychological attitude. That's why from the very beginning, Ukrainian Women in Poland, which is my NGO, is focusing not only in the concrete entrepreneurship skills like sales, providing social media, building websites, running your own web shops. We are also focusing on a clinical psychological group support for those women, because most important for them to feel the power not to work under below their qualifications. And I wanted just to underline that it was my huge motivation as well 10 years ago when I was not fluent in Poland, how I can start my way, which would lead me to run my own business, develop my career. The language is a basic must which we have to overcome. Of course, some are saved by knowledge of English, but we know exactly that not everybody is welcome in a corporate world to jump immediately into the same profession or same position they were occupying in Ukraine, in our Ukrainian case. But most important is to believe in your abilities, no matter what age you are, what your initial background, to really want to develop yourself. And as a special stress for me in terms of female power, which is very fashionable now to promote, to fight for your equal rights and your position in business and in society, it's really important to find this self-motivation, how in a dramatic situation like war, for example, the civil crises, to find this power to fight for yourself. And that's why I wanted to again compliment Khalid for his huge believing in himself. I'm extremely impressed how fast actually he reached that point where he is now, and of course encouraging women not to slow down in their efforts. But it's crucial also what is the position of the country in terms of giving us as migrants a proper rights to have this startup and future abroad. I believe it's more challenging for people from the East, especially now. These groups are growing and growing.
Thank you very much, Julia. And there is a question from Nida that is focused on the Netherlands situation, but I would also like to hear from Michał Radziwiłł on the Polish situation on that, because the question is, it's for Netherlands specific, considering that the country has a lot of employment opportunities available and encourage newcomers to obtain paid employment as soon as possible. What step could be taken to promote entrepreneurship opportunities for migrants and raise awareness of public institutions on this? So Michał Dudziński, this is to you and to Khaled, but then I would also like to hear from Michał Radziwiłł, who knows the Polish situation, that maybe the employment is not so much encouraged, or if it's encouraged, there might be some limitations. So let's consider those in the two scenarios. Thank you. Michał Dudziński, to you.
Yeah, maybe I will start, and then Khaled, maybe you could also give someone like your opinion, because I can talk about a little bit more from the organization side, and maybe you can talk more about your experience also with hardships. Hi, Ninda, thanks for the question, first of all. But yeah, so what it is, of course, employment opportunities are to some extent encouraged, but there's also a lot of barriers between reaching that employment. So I think Khaled maybe can talk about it more about how the call centers work, where you're, you live in a central location, often quite far from Amsterdam, Rotterdam, or main employment centers. And yeah, of course, you have to commute. But on top of that, there's also maybe a limit on the number of hours you have to work. Often, if you are getting benefits from the government, like social welfare, then you will have like a case manager, often by the municipality. And from our side, from Forward Inc. side, we often because then this case manager should be then informed about any employment movement by the individual, by the asylum seeker. So then when we come in and then we say, hey, we would like to offer a free course of entrepreneurship, for this person, we often have to talk to this case person, and they are often quite how would you say reserved when it comes to, okay, maybe entrepreneurship, this is high risk industry, so on and so forth. And of course, that is the case with entrepreneurship, as Julia and Khaled probably know, and it's not for everyone. But in terms of support from public institutions, I think, especially in the field of entrepreneurship, that is really lacking. And when it comes to, employment opportunities, there's often an urgency on it, and which also results in downward employment, right? That asylum seekers apply for jobs that they're overqualified for. And what's important to remember is that it's also a little bit of a positive feedback loop, right? Because when you land a job that you're overqualified for, it also works as a signal for the next employer, for example, that you have a little lower skills. So it's all important to take into account. But to answer your question, what steps could be taken to promote entrepreneurship opportunities? That is really difficult. So we are doing our best as kind of not NGO solution to this issue, and trying to market best work with the municipalities, so the local governments, work with national governments on best targeting our target group. But there's still a lot of work to be done. So I'm looking forward to some suggestions if you have any.
Thank you very much. Khaled, would you like to add anything from
sure. Experience? Thank you so much. It's true that there are huge employment opportunities here in the Netherlands. Even some research shows that there are over 115 jobs for every 100 people. But these employment opportunities are not really accessible by refugees. For refugees, you have between 3 to 5 years integration program. They don't really access job opportunities before finishing these programs, because there is commitment for schools, there is commitment by the municipality they have to attend to. The other studies shows that refugees, they need up to 10 years to be financially independent, due to these challenges regarding the integration and also permit to work. To answer this question, actually, it's of promoting more entrepreneurship. I agree with Michał Radziwiłł about that. It's not something that you can build the capacity; it's a mindset. And the challenge is to identify this mindset. Who are the people who have this mindset, so we can build their capacity and provide them with access to opportunities. Unfortunately, there are not much happening. For example, Netherlands, there are not much happening. Initiatives like Forward Inc. are really limited. You need actually to replicate this kind of initiatives, because the problem is with the accessibility, how to find the refugees, and there are hundreds of refugee camps here in Netherlands. One organization can't resolve the problem, and also it's not the response. It's not something that the public organization or a governmental organization can do, because they are focusing on the essential services, the public organization. And not only essential, they are also the governmental organization focusing on filling the gap of low jobs. This is actually tendency now happening in Netherlands. They are filling the gaps of low jobs, and they are trying to fill these gaps with the refugees and migrants. However, if there was, for example, in the AZC, there are like, in the refugee camps, there are representatives of a big organization like VVN, for example, which is an organization to support refugees with illegal issues. If this is an initiative can happen, when, for example, for entrepreneurship, can be in each refugee camp can have a representative office for, especially for entrepreneurship, to promote this, or for employment also, to promote this kind of things. Otherwise, it's very difficult for refugees to find organizations like Forward Inc. Because not because of the accessibility, also because of the language barrier. But if there are a representative in the refugee camps, it will be easier for both parties, for refugees to access opportunities, and also for those organizations to promote such kind of initiatives in general.
Thank you very much, Khaled. I'm sorry, we are running a little bit out of time, and we still have a poll that is going to pop out on your screen for all the participants to fill in. Michał, I have also, like, if you can just give us your remarks on that, and Rainer, Michał is going to respond to your question, and if we have a little bit time to wrap up, then we can also, everybody else have the insight from that. So Michał, please, from your side.
Okay, just 3 sentences. So definitely I'm not a specialist of the employment, but it looks like, and Julia stressed it, in Poland, the Ukrainian refugees, from a formal point of view, I mean, the state reacted in a very positive way, and I understand that most or all of them can work. Poland, by the way, is already a country where another 1 million Ukrainians used to work before the full-scale war started. So I think that this is, from this point of view, it is somehow handled. I think that the issue of the entrepreneurship is probably, there are two things to be done. One is what on the side of the entrepreneurs, the potential entrepreneurs themselves. So what Julia is trying to help is to help people to develop their skills, language, but also legal environment, etc. And I think that from the financial institutions point of view, we would probably need to have an answer, as I said before, an answer specifically targeted to the Ukrainian people. So having in these institutions, having people who are just used to talk to these entrepreneurs, right? Their language, their mindset, their yeah. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are already reached the time that we had dedicated for this panel. Of course, we could continue it for much longer, because it's an important issue, and they're having an insight from entrepreneurs who actually open it up, and so we can address the different paradoxes that are there, and having also the people who are responsible for funding and business development services. It's a very good start for like, you know, systemic conversation of how we can improve it. So I hope that it's just the beginning of the conversation, not the end of the conversation. Definitely you're more than welcome to join the other session on that topic, and I hope we can continue on another occasion of discussing it more. If there is anything that you would like to share and we didn't have time for this panel to address, please reach out to us and we will make sure that we will address it. So big thank you to the panelists for being here with us. And big thank you to the participants to also joining this panel. And I hope to see you very soon.